Spartan Cheap Hops, ladies and gentlemen, it is Silicon Steve Valley with Mr. Vladi Dadi, Purple Nurple champion, reigning, defending, Purple Nurple champion, and of course, beating my ass last week at Backlash. But that's neither here nor there because we're talking about AEW here on High Spots and Cheap Hops. Vladi Dadi, you and a couple other people have realized there might be a little bit of a parallel going on with Chris Jericho and Adam Cole and their feud and what they're doing on screen and what might be happening back behind the scenes between CM Punk and the Elite. And obviously Chris Jericho has been a major player with CM Punk, kind of anti-CM Punk. Also a major rumor, CM Punk shot down an idea to return to feud with Jericho. So, Vladi Dadi, you are one that might be floating the theory that this latest twist in the storyline is a smack in the face to the Second City Saint himself, CM Punk.
Yeah, and you know what's strange is when I was watching Dynamite, Jericho was sitting there talking. He used the term unsafe workplace, and he's talking about the legalities, and he's got his lawyers involved, but I'll read the quote. This is just previous to Roderick Strong coming out and approaching him. So Jericho goes and says, quote unquote, "I wasn't prepared for a fight. Cole, you created an unsafe work environment. So I went and got legal counsel, and I now have a court order. Court order says this: if I'm in the building, you're banned. I'm in the arena or a venue, you are not allowed inside," quote unquote, right? I'm like watching this. Roderick Strong comes out, and somehow or another, Roderick Strong goes and outsmarts Chris Jericho and basically tells him, "Hey, you and I could have a match next week." And then the thing is, I got legal counsel too, and the JAS is not welcome into the arena as well. And then, most importantly to this, he asked for a falls count anywhere match. So it took me literally 2 seconds to say to myself, this match is going to end outside of the arena and probably involves Adam Cole super kicking Chris Jericho into oblivion, and Roderick Strong is going to get the win. But the terminology that Jericho was using, and also on the previous Rampage, I forget who the other backstage announcer was, but she knocked on Jericho's dressing room door, and Jericho was acting hesitant to open it up as if he was unsure who it was. Sort of like brawl out, if you will. Now, him also getting into the legality things here. I got to quote good old Uncle Dave Meltzer, or some people like to call him Schmeltzer.
Schmeltzer!
That guy likes to call him Schmeltzer. So, yeah, Meltzer goes and confirms, this is basically a spoof that Jericho has pretty much dragged the return of Adam Cole with him, spoofing the return of CM Punk. So as Meltzer says, quote unquote, a lot of people are going why don't they say what happened? And the reason is because there's freaking legal action involved or threat. There's many times legal action has been threatened in the last year plus, on many issues here. So essentially, they're essentially spoofing themselves. So again, the genius of Jericho, you have the return of CM Punk, going to become probably the biggest story here this year for his return, and the addition of the show Collision that's coinciding with this. And Jericho takes it upon himself to go grab the steam that Adam Cole is trying to build with his return from this concussion. And he's going to say, let's go and mess with CM Punk in a passive-aggressive way with our feud here. Okay, man? And this is the genius of Jericho now.
The genius of Jericho. Drink it in, man.
And he can use that.
You know what, Vladi, with these kind of talks, you just made the list, bud.
I feel like I've been on the list for a couple years now.
Hey, come on, baby.
And when he did that the first time, I was a fan. I was Jerichoholic right from there.
You're a stupid idiot.
Oh, my God. I was such a mark for the guy. Now, as he gets older.
Would you please shut the hell up? What about Stephanie? That would be another era. Hosebag?
Yeah, he had a whole rant about her.
Yeah.
And then
Hobag.
So, and then but the joke is sort of on Jericho because they're returning Punk. I think you're going to talk about this. Wants nothing to do with them.
That's a big deal. I mean, and I don't think anyone was excited to see that anyway.
No.
Nobody wanted to see Punk and Jericho. We've seen it before. It was literally a WrestleMania match. Would the promos have been fantastic? 100%. But the match would have been predictable. Punk would have won. And JAS, you know, I mean, it's not been a great run for the JAS. I wouldn't call it that. I mean, again, it's just they're mid-carders. Jericho's a mid-carder now. It's a reality. And it's fine. And the guy he was one of the building blocks that AEW needed. I will always give Jericho the respect for that. But his time at the top is over until he reinvents himself again and comes up with something maybe better. This is not a version of Chris Jericho that is a hot commodity. It really isn't. And a lot of people, and it's not just me and you that feel that way. And I like Jericho. I haven't soured on him nearly as much as you and a lot of other people have. I like Chris Jericho, but at the same time, he's a mid-carder now. So CM Punk sees that, and CM Punk's like, no, fuck him. And I think if it was a compelling story, and if it was a compelling thing that CM Punk felt like he wanted to do for his return, he would have done it. But I don't think it's a story that he wants to tell. I don't think he wants to go down the path of dealing with Chris Jericho, and he doesn't have to. Whoever CM Punk gets in the ring with, in all likelihood, he elevates them because he's such a big star. So who does he want to deal with? Run back Samoa Joe is the rumor, which is ironic because you mentioned that to me. And I don't know if it was on our show, but you certainly mentioned to me either via text or show. You said, is it possible that he feuds with Samoa Joe in his first time back to rekindle the old Ring of Honor rivalry?
And this is before, I mentioned this before any hint of collision. It was like, oh, is he going to just go in Ring of Honor then? And, you know, I just thought, I'm like, because I looked at the roster and I'm like, okay. And it's funny, you look at the roster, it's like, okay, this wrestler's tied to the Bucks and Kenny. This wrestler's tied to the Bucks. And I'm like, okay, and this one, maybe he works. And I'm like, who sort of fits? And I saw Samoa Joe's name. I'm like, man, those two got history. Who, in a realistic way, would never bow down to CM Punk? Like Samoa Joe getting in his face, that's just going to be great, like a great visual. And Punk not backing down to him either, like getting his ass kicked a little bit. That's going to be interesting too. So, you know, I just put it out there, and we were only thinking, you know, will they just waste some Ring of Honor, like on some, you know, subscription? But it looks like they're not going to, and they're going to be putting this on Saturday nights, which I'm excited for.
So much for watching High Spots and Cheap Pops. Please hit the subscribe button, comment, share. We want to hear from you. Be well and take care of each other, internet wrestling community.